Good morning, everybody on the call today. Thanks so much for spending your Friday morning or Friday afternoon with us today. My name is Chad Tibbets. I'm a training specialist with Asa Abloy Academy. So excited that you're here to take place in this Asa Abloy Academy virtual instructor-led training. Today's topic is going to be on a particular Norton low energy auto operator called the 5800 series. This 5800 series is very unique when it comes to low energy operators. And I developed this course to really kind of get deep into how it functions, how we interface it, how we program it. So a couple of things first. Safety first, of course, with everything, especially with Asa Abloy, we want to make sure that everybody is taking precautions out there. If you're installing these, or if you have crews of people that install low energy operators, please encourage them to take safety first, wear gloves, safety glasses. When you're installing these, you're going to be using drills and sometimes cutting tools. So safety first. Before we get into a class agenda, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Number one, we take and record every single one of our virtual instructor-led training courses. Those are available on our website, asaabloyacademy.com/Americas. And then once you're there, you can click on virtual instructor-led training. From there, you can get to a box folder where we have all of our instructor-led classes, our virtual instructor-led classes that we have done since the lockdown in March. Also, we give an email out for your proof of attendance. So if you haven't taken a class from us before, you can self-report for your continuing education credits with the email that you get from us, thanking you for your attendance. Also, there's a Q&A built into the Zoom app. I'm sure everybody is very familiar with Zoom at this point, but please use that to communicate with me if you have any questions at all. I will leave some time at the end of this presentation to answer any questions. And if it's a really technical question or something that I can't answer live, then please give me your email and I will follow up with you on that. So for our agenda today, we're going to briefly go through the operator feature and benefits, and also talk about some updates that happened last year, year and a half ago or so. Then we have an installation and setup video that I put together that goes really in depth on how to install, program, setup, explains all of the different features, how we set them up in the unit, turning them on, adjusting them, everything else. So that's going to be a very, very detailed technical video. If you're really just interested in how to sell it, then I apologize, but the video will be informational or informative either way. Once the video is done, which the video is 28-30 minutes long or so, because it goes through every single possible way that we can set this up, which I think is really interesting. We have operator kits. So the operator itself is designed to sell into different packages. We'll talk about those different kit options in those packages and what you get in that package when you order it. The operator has always been sold in a package with push buttons, with arms where you can mount it on the push side or the pull side of the door. So the ADAEZ 5800 has always been like that, but there are different kit options that you can get. We'll talk about how Norton sets up their part numbers. So when you look through the catalog, you'll have a rough idea of how to place that order. We'll show you and briefly talk about some Asa Abloy and Norton tools and resources that can help you when you're trying to find information or you're trying to get in touch with tech services or customer support. And then again, at the end, we'll have a Q&A session for anybody who's got any questions. So looking at the anatomy of the low energy operator, first thing that you notice is that this 5800 series doesn't mount to the frame. The main body of the operator mounts to the door instead of the frame. And that's really unique, especially if you have a low ceiling height, you have a really narrow frame, you have something in the way, you could have pipes, sprinkler systems, exit signs, you could have all kinds of things right above a door that would prevent you from being able to mount a traditional low energy operator. So the ADAEZ has that benefit to being able to mount to the door. And like I said, it comes in a kit where you can mount it on the pull side or the push side. In this application, we would consider this regular arm because it's on the pull side and that arm does stick out 90 degrees from the frame. On the other mounting, it would be mounted just like a parallel door closer. So looking at some of the bits and pieces that make this operator up, it has a built-in shock absorbing arm. We're actually going to take the arm apart a little bit later in the video and show you what I mean by that. But as a spring, so that if somebody pushes this operator to its limit, before it damages the frame or the door or the operator, it actually absorbs some of that impact. It has an integrated RF receiver. So right out of the box, this is designed to communicate with your wireless push buttons, your wireless clickers, without any additional things. We don't have to add any part number to this for that integral receiver. If you are going to be using some of our advanced features that we're going to go into depth on a little bit later, you do have the ability to plug in a 24-volt DC power supply that you can get with a kit. One of the packages that you can order this already comes with the DC power supply with a 50-foot cable that you can plug into a wall. You could actually also use a power supply, say from Securitron, if you wanted to do that as well. We have a built-in on and off switch, and also that rocker switch will rotate over and show you the battery status if you don't have it plugged into a power supply. This unit is very unique in that if we are just running it battery powered only, every time the operator is used without pushing the button, so just somebody walking through the door and using the operator like a door closer, which it will do, it will function exactly like a door closer without power, without pressing the activating switch, it generates its own power and will trickle charge the battery pack. So if we get enough use out of this operator during everyday motion, this operator will work perfectly. You'll have it full charge. You'll be able to use the operator when you press the button. Now we need, out of say 100 uses of that door, 80 to 100 uses of that door, we need about 80% of those to be manual. So 80% of say 80 to 100 uses, we need those to be manual, and that will keep the battery fully charged for 20 of those or so to be a button press. Now that kind of, those are numbers, and it varies depending on the application and the type of door it's on, the weight of door and everything else. But just know that on say a regular commercial hollow metal or wood door, 3.0, 7.0, with the advanced features of this unit turned off, like push and go and latch assist and power close, those things turned off, we get 2,000 uses of this battery. So 2,000 button presses, 2,000 powered operations before that battery is dead. Now, some people say, well, that's not very many, but that's assuming that you don't get anybody to walk through that door manually during those 2,000 button presses. And we also sell these batteries by themselves. You can order just a battery pack and keep it charged in your shop or in your office. It takes about 5 minutes to swap a battery on one of these. If you don't ever want to have it hard powered with the 24-volt power supply, you could just keep batteries charged just like a Milwaukee or a DeWalt drill and plug it in. So it's a really cool feature. There are some schools that I've worked with in California that's the way they use their operators. They use them battery powered only, and depending on their use, they can go 6 months, 9 months, 3 months. It depends on how much use they're getting and how many button presses they're getting. But if the operator does die, they simply swap a battery that they've got charged and ready to go on their bench. So it is a patented auto-tune feature, which makes it really easy for an installer once you get this mounted on the door. which takes 20, 30 minutes, depending on if you've done it before. Once you get it mounted to the door, if you're going to use just the basic features of this operator and you're going to use it standalone, it has an auto tune feature where it will sense the weight of the door and it will program the opening speed, closing speed, and hold open time within ADA guidelines for low energy operators, which is really cool. Now, one thing that you do need to note is it's got a max opening of 95 degrees. Some other low energy operators can open on the pull side all the way to 180 degrees. Okay, and some of them are limited to 135 degrees, depending on if it's on the push side or pull side. Just know that it's got a max opening of 95 degrees. So if you have a door in your facility that you're specifying hardware for and it needs to open 180 or 135, this was probably not going to be the operator that you want to choose. Some of the updates that just happened very recently is the circuit board was changed to be easier to read. They went from a green color to this white color. So if you have an existing operator and you're wondering if you have the new update, you can check the circuit board color. White is going to be the newest update. And the open close time, the open power close force, the hold open executive light, all of those things, they moved them around a little bit to make it easier to see and operate. They increased the adjustable force settings to a maximum of 30 pounds. That means that if you have a really, really windy facility, maybe you've got overhead doors open in the back of a building, that air is rushing through your office and your front door is floating, they increased the force to a maximum of 30 pounds. They did get approval to do that. And that just gives the operator more strength to close that door. And then they also increased the adjustable power close to 25 pounds. So the power close is something that we can turn on or turn off, and that's just the last few degrees of the closing cycle. We have a maximum door width of 48 inches. That's pretty much universal for low energy operators. And even though this unit looks fairly small, it can handle a door weight of 250 pounds. One of the things that they also added was a new executive mode feature. This is perfect for HR offices where you have private conversations. You want an open door policy in your office, but when somebody comes in and they need to talk to you, it's nice to be able to hit a clicker or hit your push button and close your door. So a button press will just change the state of the door. If the door was open, one button press will close the door. If it was closed, then it will open. Executive mode is also available on some of our other low energy auto operators. The power close also increased by half a second. Again, that's a feature that you can turn on, helping you latch the door if you have windy situations, if you have unbalanced HVAC systems or stack pressure, smoke seal, weather stripping, any of those things. That extra half a second, again, is that power to help latch that door. And one thing that's really cool is a latch assist feature. If you're going to be working this operator using our 1028 WEM module, which we're going to show you how that works a little bit later, but we have a wireless interface module that you can use with access control. You could use it with an electric strike, a latch retraction exit device, and let's say that those two, one of those latching devices, one of those locking devices is in a slight bind because of stack pressure, weather stripping, smoke seal, any of those things that can cause a latch bolt binding. This latch assist causes the operator to pull in towards the door, towards the stop, then it fires that device and then the door opens. This is also available on our 6300 operator, but latch assist is really neat when you need it. There are multiple ways that you can interface to the low energy operators with either the slim line, the double gang. You can do wave to open switches. We'll cover all of that in a little bit. But what this means for this update is prior to the update, we could only do 6 different switches programmed into the unit at the same time. Now we can do 12. The unit can. Here is the video. We're going to take you through the installation. It'll go through the programming of the operator itself, and then show you the wireless interface module, the WIM module, and how that works together with access control so that you can completely interface and wire a door very easily. So watch this video, hang out with us through the end of this. Then we'll go through the packages. We'll take a look at the part number and how that works together, and then have tools and then question and answer time.
In this video, we're going to take a deep dive look at the Norton ADAEZ 5800 series low energy operator. We're going to install, program, set up all of the advanced features, and also take a look at the ADA 1028W wireless interface module and how that works together with an access control system to electrify and control a door that is locked with either an electric strike, a mag lock, an electrified exit device, or any other electrified device that you can use to secure a door. So join me as I put on my gloves, my safety glasses, and get started. As you can see, we have already mounted this operator on this door. Previously, this is one of our training doors with Assa Abloy Academy, but we're going to pretend that we haven't installed the operator and start at the very first step of getting this Norton 5800 installed on a pull side mount, which would, if you're talking about a door closer, would be considered regular arm or standard mount. And the first thing we want to do is take the paper template. In this case, I have a hinge that is very, very close to the top of my door. I will have to modify my paper template to make it line up properly. You may also have to do this if you have an offset pivot on your door that you're working on. So to show you what I've done, I've taken the template and cut out where the hinge is. And you see that vertical line, that needs to be lined up with the center line of the hinge. And also they give you a line to line up with the bottom of the frame. So we're lining center line of the hinge, bottom of the frame. If you actually turn this template over, then that would work with a left-hand door. But in this case, we're right-hand door. Once you have the template in place, you then want to take a center punch and mark all of the mounting holes that you're going to be using for the bracket. Norton recommends that you use at least 4 of the mounting holes for the bracket. You can use more than that, of course, if you need to. Also, center punch for your door shoe. Once you have that, your next step, you should have center mark holes everywhere for the operator bracket as well as for the operator shoe. To mount this bracket and the operator shoe on either a hollow metal door or in this case an aluminum storefront door, we first need to take all of the locations that we have center punched, and in this case we've center punched 5 areas plus 2 in the door shoe, and we need to drill those out to a 25/64 drill bit. This is the common size drill bit if you are going to be installing 3/8 inch rivet nuts. Now these rivet nuts can be installed with the supplied tool here. The way this works is you take a 9/16 wrench and you back up this nut part, take the supplied Allen wrench. Once you put the rivet nut into the hole, backing up the wrench, you rotate this Allen wrench clockwise, and that will actually compress, collapse the rivet nut, giving you the threads that you need for your mounting. If you have many of these operators to install, I would recommend getting yourself a tool similar to this one here. This will allow you to collapse the rivet nuts a lot easier than it would be to do them by hand. The other method works just fine. This is just quicker and more efficient. I'll come up here to the camera and you can see what the rivet nut looks like when it is compressed inside the door. And it leaves threads, machine threads, on the inside of that rivet nut, which are better than just using a sheet metal screw or simply drilling and tapping the door itself, because there are just more threads for engagement. We have the rivet nuts installed. The next thing we need to do is install the shoe. That's the bracket that goes on the frame for the arm of the operator, as well as the mounting bracket for the operator itself. Using the supplied screws with washers, we're going to install the shoe. I like to put the screws in the shoe first, then thread them in until they are just snug. This allows me to move the shoe back and forth to get them properly lined up with the measurements that we're going to go over here in a minute. So that's snug. Next, we're going to move on to the mounting bracket itself. For this type of mount, you'll notice that these 4 holes here need to be away from the hinge. The operator bracket doesn't go on like this. It goes on like this with these stud holes facing towards the lock style. As an example, we're going to just use 4 mounting screws with washers. We're going to line those up, just getting them barely started before we tighten all of them down. Using a tape measure, we need to verify that this bracket is horizontal and that the distance from this top edge to the top of the door is 5/8 of an inch. Once the bracket is parallel with the frame and 5/8 inch down from the top of the door, we can tighten all of our mounting screws. Before we fully tighten down our shoe, we need to verify that the center line of this shoe to the center line of our hinge or pivot is 14.5 inches. We can do that simply with a tape measure, going to our center line, verifying that our dimension is correct, and then we can tighten down our shoe. The next part of this install is to take our studs that the operator will slide onto and install them into the uppermost holes for this bracket We can get those started with our hand. Thread those into place. We use a 7/16 wrench to get them installed all the way down. Once you get these two studs installed, our next step is to take our cover and slide it over the bracket. For our next step, we're going to take the operator body and slide it over those two studs with the battery compartment area facing towards the hinge, and we'll install our two bolts to secure it to the bracket. For a pull side mount, we need this spindle extension, and it's secured to the operator spindle with this set screw, and we need to tighten it down. There are a couple things that I want to mention about the arm before we install it. First, that the arm has a built-in shock absorber for really windy or abusive conditions. It helps protect the operator from damage, as well as this collet assembly that we use 3 screws to clamp the arm to the operator shaft. I'm going to screw this together and show you how we adjust it for the proper length. The distance between the end or the pivot point of this arm and the center pivot or the knuckle here needs to be exactly 8 inches and a 1/16. We'll take our tape measure here, line this end up with the center of this screw and come over here, line this up and make sure that we are at 8 and a 1/16, and we are. So now this arm is ready to install onto the operator. Our next step, we're going to install the arm with these mounting screws facing up. Sliding that on. Take our mounting screw, tighten that down. Once this is tight, we can tighten each one of these screws equally. I like to get them snug. Once they're snug, I will go around and give each one about 1/4 of a turn. And you'll do this until it's tight. We're now ready to install the battery. I wanted to point out a couple of things with this battery before we get started with that. First, that there is an on position, an off position, and an option. And option just gives us the battery life status. And in this case, we hold it over, it shows us a green light. That means our battery is fully charged. The light will turn yellow if it is partially drained. Another thing to note is that this battery connector is a 3-wire connector, and right down here is a 2-wire connector and a 3-wire. We just need to make sure that we plug it into the right position. To reset the controller, perform the following. Press and hold the enter button. While holding the enter button, press and release the reset button. LEDs 1 through 4 shall flash green briefly. To enter programming mode, press and hold select and enter push buttons together until LEDs 1 through 4 flash. The closed position LED will illuminate. Ensure the door is closed and press enter, confirming the door's closed position. The open position light will illuminate. Open the door to your desired degree of angle. Hold the door in that position. Press enter once more to set the open angle and let the door close. With the door closed, press enter again for auto setup. The door will open briefly, run some calculations, and close on its own. Enter programming mode again by pressing and holding select and enter. The open close time LED will illuminate. This has already been set up in the auto setup, but if you would like to adjust it, you may rotate the potentiometer left and right to get your desired open and close time. With all of these advanced settings, pressing select skips the setting and doesn't change anything. Pressing enter will set the setting wherever you left the potentiometer, whatever lights are flashing. Open force, power close force, hold open time, and executive mode are all set using the potentiometer. Please refer to the installation instructions for the chart that decodes the LED lights to tell you exactly what they mean. Right out of the box, the operator comes paired with 2 wireless push buttons. Should we have to erase those push buttons for whatever reason, or we want to add additional push buttons, we first need to press and hold the learn button, close position LEDs, and then all of the advanced feature LEDs will start flashing. At that point, we can start pressing on our wireless push button. The operator will indicate that it has received the signal from that push button and it will power down. Repeat this step for each additional push button. The Norton 5800 low energy operator is equipped with 4 advanced features noted by the PC PG DB LA LEDs there on the circuit board. They stand for power close, push and go, dynamic braking, and latch assist. Power close will apply a closing force on the door if the door did not fully close in the normal closing time. Power close will activate and turn on when the door is fully closed, or if the door does not move after attempting to close for 2 seconds. Push and go will cause the door operator to initiate an automatic open cycle when the door is pushed in the open direction. Dynamic braking will apply braking to the door when the door speed exceeds 4 times the programmed automatic opening time under abusive opening conditions or wind. Latch assist will apply a force in the closing direction for half a second when the operator receives an activate signal to assist an electric strike in unlocking or an electrified exit device. When the door closes, the operator will apply a force in the closed direction to assist in latching the door, similar to a power close, but in this case it will be on all the time. With all of these advanced features, we use the potentiometer. Rotating it green means that we will be setting that advanced feature to the on. Rotating it to red, we'll be setting it to off. If we hit select we will not actually change anything, but rather switch to the next setting. If we press enter, we will be either turning that feature on or off, depending on if our LED is green or red. Once you finish setting the advanced features, the closed position LED will illuminate, bringing you back to the beginning of the menu. Simply hold down the enter button until the PG light flashes. Release the enter. All the lights should turn off. You are now out of programming mode. So we just showed you how to program and actually turn on the advanced features for this Norton 5800 series operator. But what I want to do right now is demonstrate 3 of the 4, and then we're going to cut to another video demonstrating dynamic braking. So on our little test store here, what I want to demonstrate first is push and go. And remember, what that means is if somebody is walking through and they push on the door, if they push against the door with anything, the operator is going to sense that movement, and then it's going to open to its full open position. So that was push and go. Next, I want to demonstrate Latch Assist. Latch Assist, let's say that I have an exit device, I have an electric strike, something like that, and they're in a bind. Well, if they're in a bind, and I'm going to demonstrate this by pushing on the door briefly, pressing on the activation switch, the door will actually press in towards the stop and then open. Pressing in on the stop removes that bind, and then the door opens normally. The last feature I want to demonstrate on this test door is power close. We're going to open the door again, let the door come closed, but before it gets to the closed position, I'm actually going to use my hand to prevent it from closing. You'll hear the motor load, and that's the motor trying to force the door closed. It's not going to hurt me because this is a low energy operator, but it will do this for 2 seconds or until it closes the door, whichever one comes first. And right there, the motor turned on, tried to close the door. It will do that for 2 seconds. And that force, that closing force, is adjustable using the potentiometer in the correct setting on the circuit board. Next, we're going to cut to a video showing dynamic braking on a full-size door, 4.0, 10.0 exterior hollow metal door, because it's much easier to show that on a larger door than it is for our test door here. After the video, we'll come back to the studio and show you exactly everything else I have here behind me, our simulated access control system interfacing to the operator through our wireless interface module.
The ADAEZ was designed to function like an ordinary door closer. The spring forces are fully adjustable, number 2 to number 6, or 4 to 15 pounds of opening force. And I open the door, a controlled open and a controlled close, just like an ordinary door closer. When automating a very large and heavy door, for example, this door, 48 inches wide, 250 pounds with a full armor plate, a feature called dynamic braking will slow the door down to protect it from abuse or high wind. I can demonstrate. Ordinary traffic uses the door like an ordinary door closer. High wind or abusive traffic engages dynamic braking.
Welcome back to the studio. We just showed you the advanced features and exactly what they do and how they work with this low energy operator. But let's say we have an exit device, an access control system, and we want to tie the whole thing together with release buttons, timing schedules, outside button disable switches, and the whole lot. How does that work? Well, the answer is our wireless interface module. It ties the whole thing together. It's the bridge between our wireless RF activated operator and our full-blown wired access control system. So in this case, my test board simulating our access control system has a 24-volt DC power supply, has a digital timer that's going to simulate our time schedule. My wave to open switch here, let's just say that's my inside button that would demonstrate a full contactless or touchless solution so that we can wave in front of that switch, activate and unlock our exit device, open the door, all without having to touch anything with our hands. I have a key switch here that is tied directly to the outside button disable. My digital timer is tied to the input that would be coming from my access control system. And all of this can tie together because of our wireless interface module. The power from my exit device is coming from the power supply here. So you would tie your power, whatever power you need for your exit device, your electric strike, or your maglock directly to the relay built into the WIN module. The WIN module is being powered by its own transformer that we give you. We also give you a harness with the WIN module that ties to the battery on the operator, just making sure that the battery stays fully charged all of the time. So I'm going to demonstrate it now. I'm going to take and wave in front of my wave to open switch. The exit device unlocks. Then the operator will open, but only after 1.5 seconds, because we have to make sure that the exit device unlocks first, then the operator will open. If I take my outside key switch, my key switch that is tied to my outside button disable, and you see right now my exit device latch bolt is extended. If I press on this, the switch doesn't do anything because I have the outside button switched to off, meaning that it will not accept any inputs from an outside button. If I take my key switch and turn it off, that changes the lock state. So in this case, it unlocked my exit device and it turned on the outside button input on my wireless interface module. So now I can press on this and open the door. So now let's take a little bit deeper look into the actual terminals on the wireless interface module. We'll talk a little bit about how we would actually program this to a wireless button and how it talks to the operator. You can see here, this is the power input from a 24-volt transformer. This green connector right here actually ties to the back of the operator. We have a tactile switch here is for operator signal. We'll go over that in a minute. Inside button to program and pair it. To pair the outside button, we have a tactile switch here. If we need a signal delay because we want to give time for an exit device or an electric strike to unlock prior to the operator firing, then this is your dip switch for that. It gives you 1.5 seconds. You'll notice that the red LEDs here on the inside and outside button, that indicates that we do not have any buttons programmed to this wireless interface module as of yet. If this operator is going to be used with our wireless interface module, out of the box, because this operator is paired with 2 wireless push buttons, we need to erase those from the operator first. To do that, we are again going to press the Learn button, press and release Reset, and then let go of Learn. To program our outside button to a wireless RF switch, we first need to just press the button here once. You'll get an audible tone until you program the button. Once the RF button has been pressed a few times, the WIM module will recognize that and pair to whichever button that you pressed, in this case the outside, and the LED will go green solid. To delete an RF button from the wireless interface module, all we need to do is hold down whichever button we want to release it from until we get an audible tone. It will flash red and then go solid red, telling us that we have deleted our RF button from that position. To pair the operator to the wireless interface module, we just need to first press and hold the Learn button on the operator. Once we're in Learn mode and those 4 LEDs are flashing, we then come over to our wireless interface module and press the operator signal button. Looking at the screw terminals here on the bottom of this WIM module, I want to point out that if you are running direct current, DC voltage, this screw here on the left is your negative, and the screw on the right here is going to be your positive. So negative is closest to the outside button disable terminal, and the positive is furthest away from that. Next is where our lock is tied. This center screw terminal here is for the negative coming off of your locking hardware. If your lock is fail secure, then your positive hooks to the NO, the normally open. If it is fail safe, then your positive wire from your locking hardware will come over here and hook up to the NC, the normally closed. Looking at these 2 screw terminals here, this is for the outside button disable. I'm going to go ahead and read the description here out of the manual. Closing the outside button disable contact will prevent the WIM from accepting an activation signal from the outside push button. So closing the contact turns off the outside push button. When the outside push button disable contact is closed, the WIM will only switch the lock state and activate the operator when an inside push button signal is received. Here you can see that I have a red and white wire here hooked up to the access control screw terminal. Closing the access control in contact, here where my red wire is, will switch the state of the lock contact and enable the outside push button. The access control contact will close when the WIM module has received an authorized signal to switch the lock contact. You'll see that the fire panel screw terminals are jumped, meaning that this screw is actually touching this one. That is normal operation if you're not going to be hooking this up to a fire control relay. If you are hooking it up to a relay, if those 2 screw terminals open, meaning they're not touching each other anymore, if the operator is in executive mode, meaning that it is in a hold open position, the operator will go to a closed position and it will no longer accept any type of signal input from the inside or the outside push button.
All right, we're back. I hope that that was a good video. Hope you learned something about the Norton 5800. I really like the operator. I've actually personally had my hands on this operator for over 10 years. I installed this operator for the first time when I was working as a locksmith and an access control integrator years and years ago. And I've always been very impressed with how innovative it was and how easy it is to install. And then with the addition of the WIM module a few years ago, now being able to pair it to an access control system, it's just really, really awesome. And it fits a fantastic little niche for operators. This is what it looks like looking at this picture. If we're mounting it parallel, comes with an extra bracket so that you can mount it underneath the soffit there on the door. You saw this is what it looked like mounting it regular arm or on the pull side. I didn't show a push side installation because it's very, very similar. The templates are obviously going to be different, but the way that we apply them to the door, lining them up with the center line of the hinge, all remains the same. So this is a Pro Plus kit example of what you can get with a Pro Plus kit. In a Pro Plus, you get the operator, you get your choice of the narrow push buttons, the double gang push buttons that are there on the bottom. It comes with a hardware kit that you can either choose to use or not use, but it does come with the transformer, the 24-volt transformer, and a cable so that you can hard power the operator you want. Or you can also get this kit with a WTO, wave to open switch as well. Of course, those wave to open switches do need to be powered. They are not entirely wireless, where these two switches have batteries. You can get 250,000 button presses before you have to replace that battery. You just need a little Allen wrench to take off the cover plate to replace that battery, and you get a 50-foot range, 50 foot to 85-foot range on that push button line of sight. So if you're not using it, again, electrically powered, if it's not hard powered all the time, then average 100 cycles per day, you can get 25% of those as your button presses. Just the Pro kit alone, not the Pro Plus, but just the Pro kit, does not come with that DC transformer for the hard powering. Okay, so the difference is this 1015p. As I said earlier, this comes very well packaged with everything that you can see there, everything you need for push or pull applications. So people that are stocking these, the customer, it is what it is. If you stock a push button that's a narrow style push button, that's probably one of the most common ones that people purchase. But you can carry that. You can carry it in a double gang, the wider push buttons. You can also carry it in the wave to open, because that's definitely very, very popular now. The biggest difference being that the wave to open, of course, does have to be powered, like I stated earlier. The Pro Plus Complete kit, or the Pro Complete kit, really the only difference between this is this aluminum cover that you can get that slides onto the unit, making the unit a two-tone. And the reason for that is if you're using this on a aluminum storefront door with that anodized aluminum, clear anodized color, if the operator is hanging down into the glass, you could see the black operator through the glass sometimes, so that aluminum cover just helps it blend in a little bit better if you're looking at it from the outside. There's a question here, and it says you showed the install of the arm with a high ceiling. Can the arm be attached in a low ceiling application by flipping the hardware? So I would say you probably could. It might be challenging to get to all of the collet screws that hold the arm to the body. I do have some specialty Allen wrenches and some bits. So provided that you could get in there between the operator and the collet and get that securely mounted, you would be fine. Obviously, you can mount the arm to the bracket shoe with the screw upside down. I would recommend that if you do it upside down, because you just have vibration and you have movement of that operator in the door, to make sure you use some type of thread locking sealant, such as a blue gel or a blue liquid, Loctite, something like that. I hope that answered your question. And then another question is, outside button disable, will it work with other than a key switch? Absolutely. So the only reason why I was using a key switch is I had the ability to turn the key switch and change the state of that switch to either open or close those two terminals on the WIM module. You could do this with a switch manually, or you could tie it to an output on an access control panel and control the opening and closing of that output relay on your access control panel using software. There are many, many ways that you can wire that. I had it with a key switch because I'm not running software on my little test boards, and to me it was the easiest way to demonstrate. But absolutely, you could use it with anything that can open or close a switch. You could do it manually if you wanted to do it manually, or you could do it with software. Thank you for the questions. Great questions. Okay, the wave to open switch, again, the 700 is one style, and then there's the 703. So that it's a 700 series. You'll have to check the actual part number, but we make those in a double gang or a wide format, and we make it in a narrow button as well. The reason why we've reduced the range to 4 inches, again, minimizes false triggers. And the main reason for that is, for a low energy operator, if you're not familiar, has to be a knowing act. So I'm not allowed to just walk down the hall and hit a motion sensor and then open the door while I'm staring at my cell phone, not realizing that the door opened. So low energy operators by definition have to be activated with a knowing act. So it having a 4-inch range makes it pretty, it makes it to where you have to go up there and wave in front of it to get it to activate. You can have a hold time of 1 to 35 seconds. That's programmed in the wave to open switch itself on the back side. Looking at how Norton puts part numbers together, they do this the same way for virtually all of their parts. The first 2 digits is the series. The next, in this case, for the 5800 is going to be push only, pull only, or push and pull. The 58.4 is probably going to be your most common. And then the Pro Complete, so the 58.4.5 is also probably going to be the most common that I see stocking distributors buy. By the type of push button we want. So by wave to open, by narrow, by square, and then by our color. by our finish. Norton has also put together several sales tools that are available on our digital resource, helping you determine which operator best suits the application that you're trying to move. What door are you trying to operate? And so going through, there is a low energy operators playbook that is really, really good at talking about what some of our operators can and cannot do. And then you can get into the individual operator catalogs to find out, hey, on the pull side, how far can this operator actually power the door? That's really important. Oftentimes when we're looking at doors, hey, do I need the door to open 180 or is 95 degrees good enough? In addition to that, at our ASSA ABLOY DSS website, you click on Solutions by Topic at the top, and then on the left-hand side, go down to Hands-Free Solutions. We've put together this awesome PDF brochure on all of our different touchless or contactless options. Everything from a foot pull or an arm pull, again, lower cost, lower features, all the way up to higher cost and higher features, to a low touch electromechanical, and then to a full touchless, fully automatic. So you can go through there and help yourself if you're the customer, if you're the end user, or if you're a distributor, help the end user figure out which solution works best in their environment. So I've got another question that came in. Can these units be installed on glass doors? Are you talking about completely full glass doors that are on patch fittings or pivots? If you can let me know on that. Frameless. Okay, so full glass. I will check with our business development. If you can type in your, nobody else can see these questions but me, but if you can type in your email address, I will take that down and I can send you an answer after this class, if you don't mind doing that for me. Great, thank you for that email. I will check with our business development guy. He's very responsive. His name, we have two of them, Kevin Waring and Jay Vicus. Jay Vicus was the one in the video showing the dynamic braking earlier. All right, moving on. The next thing I want to mention is the ASSA ABLOY customer support app. If you have not downloaded this app and you work with any ASSA ABLOY product, that's Sargent, Norton, Corbin Russwin, a multitude of brands here in the US that make up all of our solutions, this ASSA ABLOY customer support app is imperative. It is so awesome. If you're a project manager, you're out in the field, you're looking at doors, you're doing project surveys, anything like that, this app is very beneficial. It gives you the opening times and closing times of each of our factories here in the US, the phone numbers so that you can call through the app to customer support or tech services. You can also live stream with our tech support team if you're working on any of our technical products. So if you're working on this 5800 series operator and you need some help, you can actually live stream with a tech rep and show them what you're working on. They can see what you're seeing. It's just an easier way to communicate. So the customer support app is really awesome. It also allows you to get to all of our catalogs, our installation sheets, our warranty certificates, everything that you could get to online, you can get to through the app as a portal. So you can just search customer support app with ASSA ABLOY or ASSA ABLOY customer support app, iTunes, or your app store there, also your Google Play, Android, Apple, doesn't really matter. And I apologize, we're running a little late today, but also the resource center, if you're not using your cell phone or tablet, you can get to that same information that I told you about earlier. The only thing you can't live stream, and this would have the phone numbers to where you can get to our tech reps and our customer service agents. You just can't live stream. So if you're using a desktop computer, the resource center at asaabledss.com can get to all of your catalogs, your templates, your installation instructions, all of those things. Also, the ADAEZ 5800 is on Built. So if you would like a 3D interactive instructions on how to install and program that ADAEZ operator, it's on this app called Built, B-I-L-T, Intelligent Instructions. We also just launched an ASA ABLOY Egress Calculator. We're teaching this class every Thursday. Katie Flower is the brainchild behind this Egress Calculator, where she took all this information based on the International Building Code, put it into an app where you can calculate occupant load, egress width, quantity of exits, swing direction of doors, all at your fingertips. It's a fantastic class that you can take every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern and learn how to use this grade. It's free for people to use. You can get it through your single sign-on, through Connect, or through a guest login. Additional tools through the extranet. You can have access through there to Connect for your instant customer information, your online order entry. Your digital library can also be found through the extranet or going through our DSS website. We have conversion tools between products of different manufacturers, which is very useful when you're trying to find a comparable. There's an access control configurator when you're trying to figure out how to build the part number scheme for something that is pretty technical. And with that, I just want to thank everybody so much. I've got a couple of other questions. One's kind of funny. It says, your studio looks like a safe house. Absolutely. It is my office. We've been in lockdown as a training team, trying to do as much as we possibly can on Zoom since probably the middle of March. We are available to do virtual training for you guys on a custom basis if you would like to reach out to us. And then another question, will we be doing a seminar on Intramatics, HA8, and Intramatic is part of our global brand, and I don't actually work for global because I work for DSS. Norton is our low energy operator DSS brand, and so I am limited to just teaching on Norton. So Intramatic is part of Entrance Systems, and they actually have their own training team. With that, I hope everybody has a fantastic Friday. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Please get in touch with us. My email, if you want to email me directly, is Chad. Here, let me do this. Let me put it up here for you. It's not working. Chad.Tibbets, Tibbets, at asaabloy.com. If you have any questions at all, or you have any suggestions, please email me directly, or you can email our main Academy email address found on our website. Everybody have a fantastic Friday. Thanks for sticking with us on this, and check out our other virtual instructor-led trainings that we're doing every day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.